little baby block, get that garbage out of here.
What it do, baby?
Yeah, yo, what do you know?
There's a new NBA champion, and it's a team from Toronto, Canada.
OG with a look, got it! OG Anunoby at the buzzer!
Oh, like, cause my shot, I expected to make it, so like I don't shoot trying to miss.
Looks like you lost another one.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the What It Do Toronto Raptors podcast. I'm your host, Drew Horton, joined by the Del Curry of NBA podcasts, Ross Horton. How are you doing?
Excellent. Happy to be back on the What It Do.
What it do, baby? So, we've talked about this at length, and I'm sure the whole province of Ontario, or at least the city of Toronto, has been talking about it. The Leafs, for the fifth year in a row, have a monumental collapse in the playoffs. I now recently learned that the Eminem song Till I Collapse was actually about the playoff Leafs. I didn't know that previously. There were 500 healthcare workers that attended the Leafs game in person, which was a very good thing because they were all on standby for when the Leafs started choking. So they all got very quick medical attention. It's very nice to see. And this is a warning for a recall of all Toronto Leaf COVID-19 masks. They're recalled as they provide no defense and are a choking hazard. So be safe, everybody, and trade in your Leaf masks for literally anything else.
Yeah, poor old Leafs fans. Well, you know what Leafs fans do when they win the Stanley Cup? They turn off the console and go to bed.
Oh, yeah, that would just about do it. Last time they won a playoff series, I think I was 7, and the last time they won the cup, I was about 30 years away from being born.
Yeah, it's been a very long time, and this round against the Canadiens is just unbelievable. I mean, there's been a lot of disappointment, but I think this may be as bad as any I've seen. To be so heavily favored and to be up so substantially in the series, and then to just disappear and get progressively worse as the series got deeper instead of better. It's just appalling, even for the Leafs. I want to say shocking, but it's really not shocking. It's just unbelievable that it just seems to happen year after year. Now they have to figure out what they're going to do next year. Like, I don't know how they run it back with, changing the bit players, the guys who fill out the latter part of the defense and the third and fourth lines. The poor guys. I don't know how you make changes to that to actually try to make some kind of an improvement. It's going to be another interesting off season, but it's going to be difficult, I think, for them to make any substantial improvements.
Yeah, they've tried seemingly everything that I could think of, short of trading Matthews, which they're not going to do. He's your best player, but they've changed all their role players, their bid guys, like you said. They've changed goalies for this round of the playoffs. Didn't help. They changed coaching, and they added some veteran guys as well. And then they even gave away a pick, or was it 2 picks, for a guy at the deadline who was going to help them in the playoffs, only to get thrown out again in the first round in Game 7 in humiliating fashion.
Yeah, I think it was a first and 2 fourths. It might have been 3 picks that they gave up. It's discouraging, that's for sure.
Yeah, I will be hearing about that for a while from a certain Vancouver located friend.
I heard a little speculation recently about a potential Marner for Eichel deal, but I'm just not sure that one's gonna happen. I don't think the Sabres would do it, although he does seem to want to get out of Buffalo. For the Leafs, they really don't need another center. They don't need another guy making that kind of money playing the center. Is the challenge for them. I mean, 3 guys that are making 8 figures playing center probably doesn't make any more sense than what they're doing at the moment.
No, and that's what happens when you tie up your top end with high contracts. The depth falls off. See what happened to the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round? All their money tied up in 2 players, and then one of those guys goes down and they've got nothing left.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to see that of the top 14 players in the NHL in terms of salary cap hit, 13 of them didn't survive the first round. The only one who did was Carey Price. But it's a bit of a commentary on how you build a winning team in the NHL, and the Leafs have 3 of those guys.
Yeah, that does not help, because it is different in the NHL, where you need more depth, whereas in basketball, you have 5 guys on the floor at a time. So if you go top heavy with superstars, that's a completely valid strategy to win. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets. They're stacked. They've only got 2 of their superstars playing right now, and they still look like they can't be beaten.
Yeah, and in the NBA, it gets stupid expensive, or it can get stupid expensive. But it's it's a luxury tax regime, so you actually can spend the money if you want to. The really rich clubs will do it on occasion to manage it. But in the NHL, it's just not an option.
No, it's not, which makes it harder for the Leafs going forward, that's for sure. So let's move in now to the NBA playoffs round 2. We'll start with the Brooklyn Nets, who lead the Milwaukee Bucks 2-0 in convincing fashion. Brooklyn won a close game 1, but blew out the Bucks in game 2. And they won by 39 points. They were up by 50 at one point. It was just a beatdown. Do the Bucks have any chance to come back in this series?
I think their only chance is if going back to Milwaukee gives them a mental reset. They just got so badly beaten every facet of the game. They're just embarrassed. How do you lose by 40 points in a playoff game when you're as good as the Bucks are? It's just inexplicable. And this is with one of the top 5 players in the NBA not suiting up for the Nets. It's just I can't explain what happened there. I guess it's just one of those things, and one of the reasons why we love sports is occasionally stuff like this just happens. Not that I have anything against the Bucks. It's just remarkable that they got so thoroughly drubbed in that second game. I think they'll probably win 1 of 2 in Milwaukee, but I doubt they'll take the series to 6. I think they probably will be done in 5.
I agree with you that it's shocking. It's baffling. I think you have Giannis, Middleton, and Drew Holiday as your top 3, and you still get blown out that badly. Unbelievable. I disagree with you, though. I think the Nets are going to sweep the Bucks. I think after game 2, that really just showed that the Nets are the superior team, and I think they really sent a message and put the league on notice. We are the team to beat, and we are going to the finals.
Yeah, maybe the best thing that could happen for the Nets is to get Harden a couple of extra games rest.
Yeah, he might not even need to play in this whole series, which would really just solidify in my mind how good they really are. Kevin Durant is just absurd right now, averaging something like 30 points a game on 55% from the field. The man is just a legend.
Yeah, he really is. He really is unbelievable. What a talent! And to have him and Kyrie and Harden all playing together, and if Harden can get healthy, boy, it's hard to imagine anybody standing in their way.
Yeah, I'm with you there. When they're at full strength, and if they play like the way they've been playing, and just drop Harden into the mix, I really don't see anyone beating them. because not only do you have that big three, but Joe Harris is playing like prime Klay Thompson. It's incredible. He's shooting over 50% from three in the playoffs so far, and he's getting, 16 points a game. That's going to go down when Harden comes back, but he's a legitimate third option right now. He's not just a role player.
Yeah, no, they're the team to beat, I think, at the moment.
So the Nets are the team to beat in the East, maybe even in the entire NBA. But let's go over to the other series, the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers, who are tied up at 1-1. The Hawks took a very close game one, and the 76ers came back and routed the Hawks by a 16-point margin off of 40 points and 13 rebounds from Joel Embiid. Do you think the Hawks have a chance in this series, or do you think Philadelphia is just going to clean up their act?
I think that it's going to be a long series, but I do think that Philadelphia is going to win in the end. They knew that they had to come out in the second game, and they came out with a huge effort and a lot of fire in that first quarter. And then they let the Hawks back into the game. The thing that makes me think that they'll win this series in the end is that the Hawks came back, and then Philadelphia found a way to shut them down again and to separate at the end of the game. They kind of took it over at the end of the fourth quarter, and I think the Hawks are just not quite there yet. They just need a little bit more experience. Hopefully, they won't. From their perspective, they won't have to lose as much as Philadelphia did to get there. But I think Philadelphia probably wins that, although it could well go 7.
I think this is going to be a very exciting series. I think the firepower from Embiid and Harris versus Trae Young, and then the balanced attack behind him, I think that's going to be really fun to watch. But I do agree with you. I think the Sixers have this. I think they're going to win it in 6. I think that Atlanta is going to take one of their 2 home games, but what really puts them at a disadvantage in my mind is their fourth quarter execution. Like you said, in game 2, they were completely shut down when they were trying to make a comeback. But in game 1, they had a really sizable lead in the fourth quarter, and it seems like they did everything they could to throw it away.
I don't think they're just not quite ready to win yet. I'm just really impressed at how well they played down the stretch, how easily they handled the Knicks. But I think some of their key guys, Bogdanovich and Herter in particular, I love the way those guys play. I'm really impressed. They're composed, but I wonder if when it really gets down to it, if they'll be able to manage that pressure, just having never done it before.
Yeah, I mean, for many of those guys, it's their first ever playoff run, so it's nerve-wracking. You're in the NBA and you're part of the last 8 teams left. Even the professionals get nerves, and I think we saw a lot of that in game 1. But we'll have to see. The Hawks do have 2 games at home. They did their job by splitting on the road. I just think that if Joel Embiid is playing in this series, he's unstoppable. He had 39 in game 1, 40 in game 2. Clint Capella just can't guard him, and there's nobody else that matches up.
Yeah, I would agree. If he succumbs to the knee injury or something else happens, God forbid, then everything changes. But with him, even how well he's playing, even injured, he's just too much for them. And I think there's enough around him now that even without Simmons being able to make a jump shot or a free throw at the moment, Philadelphia's they're just too much. The Hawks don't have enough experience and not quite enough depth yet, I don't think, to stay with them in a 7-game series.
I'm with you there. I think it really comes down to experience for the Hawks, but also the Sixers are fairly stacked at the top end. I mean, like we said, Embiid is a monster. Simmons is very good, even though can't shoot at all. But he's a defensive player of the year candidate. And Tobias Harris is playing like he's the best player on the team. I mean, he would be if Joel Embiid wasn't so good. But he's playing like a number one guy, and he'll need to do that going forward. Because the Hawks team, they've got enough there that if you don't put them away and you aren't on your game, they'll make you pay.
Yep. And Steph is bombing.
Yeah, the new Curry. I don't think he'll quite take his brother's spot as best Curry in the household just yet, but he's playing very well. Yeah, he keeps that going. He'll be getting paid very soon.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. He seems like a really good guy, just like his brother. And boy, he's been playing really, really well. All in all, I just don't think that Atlanta has enough to get past them and be whoever gets thumped by Brooklyn in the Eastern Final.
Yeah, unless Embiid doesn't play multiple games in the rest of the series, I agree. I don't think the Hawks have enough, but that is a big question mark. Embiid's health is decent on the best of days, and now he's injured. There is a reason that he's called Web Embiid. He's either sick or hurt a lot of the time.
I'm impressed actually with how well he's played and how mobile he looks and how good he looks given how badly he's injured at the moment.
Yeah, even with a knee injury, it looks like he's the healthiest he's ever been in the playoffs. Well, he's an MVP candidate if all goes well for him. So, I mean, you sort of expect that from him. You need guys like that to step up the way he's doing.
Yeah. Well, next year it'll be his turn.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Brooklyn before I crown anyone else a true contender at this point. I thought the Bucks might be able to do it, but it looks like they're going to get swept. I mean, who knows? But that's my pick coming out of the East is the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there.
All right, so let's turn our attention to the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns lead the Denver Nuggets 1-0. They won by a score of 122-105. And the thing that impressed me in this game, Booker didn't have a sensational game. He played well, but he didn't play like prime or premium Devin Booker. They did it with a balanced attack. They had 4 guys with 20 or more points, and the other starter had 14. It's a good sign for them that they're getting contributions up and down the lineup because they'll need it.
Yeah, I think they will as well. I have to say, I've really enjoyed watching the Western Conference playoffs so far this year. It's been, sort of intriguing. A lot of really good matchups, and teams that fell down the standings that nobody expected. So, matchups that are normally, pushovers in the first round were not this year, and the low seed favorites, that sort of thing. So it's been really entertaining, and I'm impressed with the Suns. They're balanced. Chris Paul is obviously leading the way, and Ayton is just man. I'm so impressed with that guy. He's just a kid, but he's composed. He's playing both ends of the floor, and he looks like the moment is not going to be too big for him. Hats off to him. He's looking really good. He's one of the big reasons that I think that the Suns will come out of this series. That, and of course that the Nuggets are without Jamal Murray. It's too bad that Murray's not playing, because it would have been such an amazing series with all hands on deck. But MVP or not, Jokic is probably not going to be able to do it completely on his own. Now there's more there than just Jokic and Murray, but you can't lose a guy like Murray, I don't think, and expect to get to the finals when there are so many good teams in the West.
No, I'm with you there. I think that they'll be happy if they win 2 games in this series. Behind Jokic, they've got guys that can score. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and then who's really impressed me has been Monte Morris in the first series. Didn't show out quite well in game 1. He went 1 for 10 from the field, but in their series against Portland, he was really good. So they'll need everybody to chip in. That's how they're gonna have to do it. But I don't know if it's gonna be enough. Game 1, the Suns also got a balanced attack, and their starting lineup was unbelievable. Mikal Bridges, 23, 5, and 5. Devin Booker, 21, 4, and 8. Chris Paul, 21, 6, and 11. DeAndre Ayton, 20 and 10. And then Jay Crowder, as the 5th option on the floor, the role player, 14, 5, and 1. Now that's a multiple prong attack if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, if you can get that kind of production and that kind of consistency by spreading the ball around, they'll be a handful. And I think that they'll win this series probably in 6.
Yeah, it could also go even worse than that for them. I'm not sure exactly how you get much more production than the Nuggets got in game 1, because unless you want Jokic taking 40 shots, I just don't think it's going to happen. It could even be a 5-game series or even a sweep if the Suns are truly locked in.
Yeah, there's a potential for that. I was impressed with how well the Nuggets played in the first round, so I think they'll win a game, probably a couple of games before they bow out. But I really don't give them any chance, or very little chance, of actually winning the series.
If you look at win condition for the Nuggets, everything has to go right, and then on top of that, things have to go wrong for the Suns. And you'll never win a series if you need to play your best and have the other team play poorly. Over a 7-game series, it's just not going to happen, especially not when you look as good as the Suns have looked.
Yeah,
you've got them in 6, and I've got them in 5. Fairly agreeable on the takes so far, like father, like son, I suppose. So let's go on to the last series, the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. The Jazz won game 1 by 3 points, and it came down to the last shot of the game where Rudy Gobert blocked the game-tying 3-point attempt from Marcus Morris. Morris had a pump fake. He got Rudy Gobert to jump, but Gobert somehow got back into the flight path of the ball and blocked it after the fake. He just jumped twice in a row, and I didn't think a guy that big could move that fast. It was really impressive.
Yeah, you don't see 7-footers making plays on the perimeter like that very often, especially a play as big at such a big time as that one. And that's why he's Defensive Player of the Year. He really is an amazing talent. And the Clippers got off to such a good start in the game. Well, maybe it was that the Jazz played so badly at the start of the game, but they got such a good start. And then Donovan Mitchell just, I guess he wasn't feeling well even in the first part of the game. I understand he was dealing with some dizziness and some nausea. That didn't stop him from pouring in 32 in the second half and getting 45 in total. This is going to be an interesting series for me. I didn't think the Clippers were going to make it past the Mavs after the first couple of games. Although going into the series, I thought they would beat them. I'm not ready to count the Clippers out yet. if they can get playoff Kawhi and they can get non-playoff Paul George, then I think they could still potentially win this series. So this one's going to be interesting. I'm not quite sure what to predict on this one, but despite blowing a massive lead, they almost took one of the two games in Utah, and they've got a chance to do it again. Overall, I think it's going to be a great series. It'll probably go deep, but just to be contrary, I think I'm going to call the Clippers in a long series in this one.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you in terms of the quality of the series. It's going to be a treat to watch. Both teams are very good, both offensively and defensively. Both sides of the ball are going to be interesting, and I'm actually going to take the other side than you are. Gasp. I'm taking the Utah Jazz, probably in 7. I don't see the Clippers going away. Even if the Jazz get out to sort of a 3-2 lead or a 3-1 lead or any kind of lead, I don't think that Kawhi lets the Clippers fade away. I think he's got enough in him to completely carry the team at least twice in this series. Still at 23 points on 47% shooting, but they'll probably, as funny as it is, they'll probably need him to shoot 55% or more in this series to win, which he did last series. Shot 62 last series, which is fantastic. It's really going to come down to everybody else, because you know what you're going to get with Kawhi. But playoff P in game 1, 4-17, Marcus Morris 4-14, and they still almost won. So it's really a testament to just how good the Clippers are, and I think you can give a lot of credit, 1, to Kawhi Leonard, but 2, Luke Kennard. He showed up 7 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 18 points in 29 minutes. Yeah, and they're getting him some minutes finally. He's a lights out 3-point shooter, kind of the Joe Harris of the West. Not quite as good, but very, very similar skill set. And they'll need him this series because unlike the Mavs, the Jazz are a defensive powerhouse. And so they'll need to get those second and third looks going in the offense, which means guys like Kennard, Batum, Jackson, Morris will have to take more shots this series, and they'll need to make them at a pretty good clip if they want to keep up with this Jazz team.
Yep. It's gonna be a fun series.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. Hopefully there are no more fan incidents that are going to happen in the rest of the playoffs. The first round was kind of crazy for that. You had the Boston water bottle incident.
Yeah, so disappointing.
Because you had 4 incidents, and they range from popcorn to just disgusting, despicable racism. I mean, you just had the Utah Jazz fans. I can't repeat. I won't repeat any of the things that some of them have said, and it's a bad look for the fan base. And I know it's not all Jazz fans. The silent majority is usually pretty respectful and things like that in these leagues, but the loudest voices are the ones that get heard, and it really was brutal to see in the first round after the game 1 harassment that they had. Ja Morant's mom didn't go to another game in Utah. She didn't feel safe. She was anxious, and it really is a shame. I will give credit to the Jazz owner, who immediately condemned it, banned those fans for life, and treated the Morant family to all expenses paid, pretty much whatever they needed while they were in Utah, which is a great thing to see. I like their new owner. It seems like he's trying to take things in the right direction, but just brutal that people really are that twisted.
Yeah, I think by now that we'd be past it, but we're not, unfortunately, and it just keeps showing up, and it's ugly and it's unnecessary, and I'll be looking forward to the time when we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. Eventually, I hope we can all move past it. There's some other fan incidents as well. Boston, a man threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving, almost hit him. He was arrested. A fan in Philadelphia poured popcorn on Russell Westbrook. And then a Knicks fan spat on Trae Young.
Yeah, it's just, I'm glad that people are stepping up with lifetime bans, and hopefully the people that consider this kind of thing in the past will just reconsider. It's so unnecessary and disheartening and distracting from what is an amazing playoff series.
Yeah, I completely agree. In the first round, the fans got crazy. Don't know exactly why. I don't want to speculate because I don't want to give anybody an excuse or a pass on it, because that kind of stuff just it shouldn't happen, and everyone involved seems to be punished accordingly. So I'm hoping that the rest of the playoffs there aren't any more incidents like that. I hope that the backlash that people have shown, as well as the official punishments from the stadiums and the organizations, that hopefully shows that we stand behind the players, and no one else will feel bold enough to do something so stupid.
Yeah, enough nonsense.
Exactly. Just be better, be kinder. I don't know what else really to say. Yeah. On a lighter note, the Jays' Marcus Semien was named MLB Player of the Month. He had an absolutely ridiculous May. I think he hit 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, and he was batting .350. Was that right?
He got off to a bit of a slow start right out of the gate, but boy, did he make up for it in May. Between him and Vladdy, it's become must-watch TV when the top of the lineup comes up. They're offensively, their first 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys, hopefully when Springer gets back, they're just going to be unbelievable.
It really is an incredible lineup. You've got Vladdy, who's hitting .335, 18 home runs. Looks like an MVP candidate if Trout wasn't superhuman. Teoscar Hernandez hitting just under 300 as well. Semien hitting .292 power. Randall Grichuk .277, but he's got 12 home runs. Bichette a little down at .267, 11 home runs. And then you've got people like Gurriel, Kirk got a few homers, and then some timely hits from the other guys down in the lineup. Jansen had a few good games, and that lineup looks really good. And this is without Springer. Once he comes back, we'll have one of the best top 6 lineups in baseball, really.
Yeah, I agree. Vladdy has just been phenomenal, and at the moment he's leading the AL average, home runs, on base percentage, slugging, and OPS, and he's second in RBIs, one off the lead. Like it's crazy, and you just see him. He's laying off the pitches that he was swinging at the past couple of years, and he's so locked in. Homers to every field. If it's not in his wheelhouse, he'll kick it the other way, or he'll just take pitches that are out of the strike zone, lay down the bat, get on base for Teoscar and Grichuk. Boy, it's what a start to the season, and this is what we've been hoping for like 3 or 4 years now, waiting for him to fully arrive.
Yeah, he went from underrated to overrated to possibly a Triple Crown winner this season. He went above and beyond what Jays fans could have hoped for this year. You really hoped, and you kind of felt that he was going to be a star, but this type of production, and not just that, but good at bat after good at bat, his approach to the plate, very mature. I think, like you said, having Teoscar and Grichuk behind him helps with his confidence. He doesn't feel like he needs to make everything happen himself, because he's got other guys in the lineup that are raking.
And surprisingly, at least to me, after some initial challenges in figuring out which balls to chase down and when to just go straight to the bag, his defense has been really good since he's kind of got it figured out at first base as well. So, I mean, he's contributing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I thought it would be at least a couple more years before he would be a plus fielder, but he's doing it this year. He's making the right plays. He's picking balls out of the dirt. His reads are very good. Just in a play a couple days ago, he got a ball at first he had to pick out, and then he threw out a runner at third trying to round second. And you look at him last year, there's no way he makes that play.
Yeah, he really is having an MVP kind of season. Now it's early, let's not get too carried away about where he finishes up when the All-Star game yet. But boy, it's a good start, and it's so entertaining to watch. If they could just get some of their pitching back, hopefully. I mean, some of it's not coming back. But if they could get some of their pitching back and sorted out, they could definitely challenge for a wild card and see what happens with the division. But another example last night of the bullpen just being overmatched, and a brilliant start that went for naught.
Yeah, their pen has really been letting them down. I think they've got right now 10 pitchers or something like that, 10 maybe 11 pitchers that have an ERA over 4.5, and that's just not going to win you ball games. Plain and simple. We need the guys to get back injured, because theoretically, if we had everybody back, we'd have a really good bullpen, but injuries have plagued them this year, and it's disappointing to see, because everyone combined, if that whole roster is together, they really do look like a playoff threat.
Yeah, I think the guy that made the key to the whole thing is Julian Mayweather. If he comes back off of his, I think he's got an oblique injury. But if he comes back off of that, it sounds like he's not even close at this point, which is too bad. He is on the 60-day IL. But if he comes back and pitches the way he pitched at the start, then losing Kirby Yates before he even threw a pitch will not sting as much, and the back end of the bullpen will look pretty good. But there's just too many guys at the moment trying to fill a role that's a level above where they should be at the moment, or two. So if they can hang in there and stay a few games over 500 till Springer comes on board and a couple of the pitchers come back, then it'll be an entertaining August and September.
Yeah, the good thing is baseball, 162 games. It's a long season, So these injuries don't cost you as much as they would in other sports, where missing 3 months means you miss 90% of the season or 70% of the season. At least you've got a chance when it comes to these injuries for the Jays. Like you said, Merriweather coming back would be huge. He's lights out. At least he should be. And I'd also add getting AJ Cole back would be huge too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Once they get those guys back in the lineup, yeah, things should start to look pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Once they get back, they've got some really good bullpen pitching. Right now, the Piamps is doing well. Romano has been fantastic, has been good, though he hasn't pitched as much as well. Anthony Castro has been a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't really recognize the name, but he's got 11 appearances and he's got a 1.50 ERA.
Yeah, those are nice numbers.
Yeah, if you can keep the ERA under 3, you will always have a job in the majors.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that they'll be a playoff team this year? Because like you said, it'll come down to treading water until everybody gets back. But once they get back, they'll be really, really good. So do you think that they'll be able to hold on and then come back? Because they are sitting in 4th in the East right now, 30-28. So it is possible. But Tampa Bay is starting to build up a lead. The Jays are 7 games back. So, 7 games back, but 9 wins back, which is the big thing. Do you think that they have a chance to catch the Rays?
I think they'll challenge for a wild card if they can hang in, or if Tampa kind of tails off a little bit, then maybe. But I have a feeling that by the time they get everybody back and they play their way into sort of game condition and timing, it may be too late. But we'll see. I wouldn't rule it out. But I think they'll probably be a wild card team.
I think that's probably a fair assessment. They don't strike me as good enough to put together the kind of win streak that they would need to catch the Rays, and that's not so much knocking the Jays as it is praising Tampa Bay. They're playing fantastic baseball right now, and the most interesting part about it is they're doing it on the road. They're a decent team at home, but they're 23-10 in away games. So they don't have a super home field advantage or anything. They're doing it all over.
Yeah, as opposed to the Jays, who are 30-28 on the road.
They'll get a home game eventually.
If they can get back to Toronto, I think that will make a difference. They've got no chance, I think, of catching Tampa Bay if they don't get back to Toronto before kind of the start of September, or even into September a little bit. It'll just be too late.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And it's funny to think that they played in Buffalo now for 2 years. Some of the Jays guys have never played in Toronto.
Yeah, they're and there's a decent fan base in Buffalo, which is great.
Yeah, that's one thing you can really say about Toronto fans. Almost no matter what the sport is, you can find a decent amount of them at any game. Prime example is the Toronto Raptors playing in Detroit. That's almost a home game for the Raptors. But yeah, the Jays, sucks that they can't play in Toronto, but you got to make do in times like this. I'm just happy that sports are back and functioning normally at all. Last year was kind of a disaster for baseball in terms of COVID absences, but it doesn't seem like they're dealing with that nearly as much this year.
Yeah, it's certainly south of the border. Things are back almost to normal, and it's great to see games with fans again. And hopefully, baseball fans will behave better than playoff basketball fans. But it's just great to see them in the games, and hopefully soon we'll get people in arenas and stadiums here too.
Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed. That would be nice. I'd love to go to see some games once we're sort of caught up and people are fully vaccinated and get back to at least something resembling normalcy sometime. But what I don't like to see is the blatant and rampant cheating that's going on in baseball right now. And this isn't like the steroid era, and it's not like the Houston Astros cheating. This is on pitchers, and it's completely league-wide. No one seems to be it seems to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's not the same as steroids. I mean, there are some differences. Steroids, long-term health issues, and they were starting to affect things in society even beyond baseball. Kids see their heroes doing it. I think that it's okay, and start running into physical and mental health issues as a result of it. And even within MLB, there was many pitchers, maybe more, taking steroids as there were hitters. So it was a bit more of a ubiquitous issue. On the other hand, cheating's cheating. Let's just clean it up. Like this is similar to corked bats. That kind of stuff. It's unnecessary. Let's make it a level playing field. There's no reason to let people increase their spin rates to the point where we're seeing some of the kind of pitching performances that we're seeing. And it's not helping the game any from a watchability point of view. And I know it's been going on a long time, but it's time. Let's just clean it up. Everybody throws the ball the same ball the same way, and let them battle with the hitters. That means there's more base runners and more runs, more higher scoring games. Well, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think you just have to really start enforcing it. Put out the blanket zero strike policy for cheating, and just let the chips fall where they may in terms of the game. I actually think that it'll make it better in terms of watchability. Very few people, myself and maybe only one other person I know, really enjoy pitching duels, but that's only because we were pitchers when we played. Most fans want to see lots of action, lots of balls in play, and the game will be better for it, because 90+% of baseball fans don't want to see a 5-hit 1-0 ball game. That's not as fun as, balls are flying around and there are people getting on base and throwing everywhere, and it's the atmosphere completely changes. Now I know it is very exciting when things like no hitters are happening. There's been 6, I believe, of those this year, maybe 7, but I think 6. But those will still happen on the days, but I think they're happening more this year, and it's making the no-hitter less special, in my opinion, which is very sad to say, because it's one of the greatest feats in sports. But with people now cheating to get it, I can't really tell you in the last few years who's gotten a legitimate one and who hasn't, because it seems like everywhere we look, there's a new pitcher that's cheating. Garrett Cole for one, Trevor Bauer another. Bauer, who I almost feel sorry for cheating, because he's been calling out the MLB for the last 4 years on Twitter constantly, saying, all right, everyone's increasing their spin rate by 400 RPM, which is not natural. The best that anyone is really able to do naturally is increase by about 100, and that's if everything goes well. And he really illuminated that a lot of that was going on, and no one really paid attention to it. Then what he did was he basically put out lists of substances, theoretical, in quotes, substances that would help with spin rate. Nothing was really done. He even tried sort of a kind of an experiment in last year's season. He didn't use any type of foreign substance when he pitched last year, didn't have a good season, and just to prove a point, he admitted that he used substances in one inning last year, where he pitched better than any other inning in that entire season, and his pitches had 400 or 500 more RPM on them, and he looked like a completely different pitcher. And you just have to wonder how many pitchers would be starters or borderline average instead of all-stars or superstars if this came out. Because the MLB has said, since they've been collecting baseballs, that they're shocked and worried about just how many balls they collect have foreign substances on them. What do you think the MLB needs to do to get this under control?
I think they just need to start finding people who are using foreign substances. My initial reaction is they need to start seeing teams forfeit games, but I'm not sure what you do when pitchers on both sides are doing it. It's the best way to get rid of this kind of cheating is by having it cost the team as opposed to just individuals. But if so many people are doing it, or most people are, it certainly seems to be some indication that there are a lot of people that are, then maybe it just resets the bar. The guys who are really good are still really good. Just maybe ERAs go from from the superstars now at 3.3 instead of 2.9 or something like that. I'm not sure what the numbers would be, but they're the guys who are really good will still be the best pitchers, and it'll just be better for the game, as opposed to now. In a lot of ways, it's who invents the best new stuff for the grip.
Rosin and sunscreen, two substances that are not individually banned, but when combined are a bannable substance. But how can you really enforce that, seeing as guys gotta wear sunscreen and you give them a rosin bag behind the mound? That's just one example that Trevor Bauer came out with. I think what they need to do is charge the teams. You're right, charge the players as well. And I think they should hand out suspensions even from the first offense. Not only do you fine them, but you suspend them also. Maybe you even suspend them without pay or things like that, although that sort of goes hand in hand with the fining, so that can obviously be tweaked. But I think it needs to be on the player and the team. Otherwise, you're right, the team will just try to either throw that one player under the bus or do a better job of hiding it, things like that. But if everybody is getting punished for it, then I think there's a better chance of a collective effort to stamp it out of the game.
Yeah, I like the idea of suspensions. I think that makes a lot of sense because the only way to get rid of it is to make more than just the individual responsible for it.
I'm completely with you. And some of the cases this year have been so obvious, but nothing has been done. There have been broadcasts where the broadcast team has gotten camera footage of people going to black spots in their glove and rubbing it before pitching, and the MLB still hasn't done anything. So we have the cameras and the technology to spot that kind of thing. So it seems like it shouldn't be that hard to catch the vast majority of people going forward, but we'll have to see next year because they've basically given everyone a free pass to cheat this year.
Well, that could change. They could backtrack on that. And I'm starting to get the feeling that they might, and I would be encouraged by that if they would actually step up and start enforcing the rules this year. Give people a little bit of notice and just say, okay, guys, we're not doing this anymore.
I agree. I think that's probably best case scenario. I don't see the MLB doing that this year. They're generally fairly slow to act with rule changes and these sort of things, which is understandable. But I think when it's something like this, it's really undermining the integrity of the game.
Yeah, when we look back, we'll see a steroid era and an Astros cheating scandal and foreign substances on the ball. It's just things that are a blight on the game.
Couldn't put it any better myself. It needs to stop. There's lots of evidence and lots of ways to catch them and stop them. So, all right, MLB, your move.
We'll see.
We will see. Anything else you want to shout out before the end?
No, I'm good, I think.
All right, well, nothing to shout out. That is okay. Thank you for listening to episode 13 of the What It Do Toronto Raptors and now General Sports podcast. May have to come up with a separate title for these, but that's another day's problem. Anyway, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure, and it's always great to talk sports with you.
You too, and Father's Day is coming up soon, so everyone, get your dad something nice. Just nothing Leafs related. They've been through enough.
It's too soon.
It's too soon. It's always too soon. It's a constant state of pain being a Leafs fan for 50 odd years. Well, as we end on that sour note, at least, sour for the Toronto listeners. The Vancouver, you're probably having a great time with this. I'm looking at you, Brendan. Anyways, well, I'll see you soon. Hopefully have you on another one of these at some point. I know where you live, so I'll come track you down.
I will look forward to it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 13. I've been your host, Drew Horton, signing off. Peace!